Live from New Delhi, you're watching DDI India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up over the next 1 hour, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar addresses the 14th East Asia Summit Foreign Ministers meeting in Vientiane, outlines India's position on Ukraine and Gaza conflict, Myanmar crisis and the vision for peace in Indo-Pacific region. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken accuses China of escalating tensions and unlawful actions in the South China Sea. Blinken holds bilateral talks with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs the 9th Niti Aayog Governing Council meeting in New Delhi, directs the Niti Aayog to prepare an investment-friendly charter, pushes for zero poverty target for Viksit Bharat. Indian shooter Manu Bhaker qualifies for the women's 10 meters air pistol final at the Olympic Games in Paris. Shooter Sarabjit Singh misses qualification by a whisker. The 14th East Asia Summit Foreign Ministers meeting and the 31st ASEAN Regional Forum convened in Vientiane, Laos PDR on Saturday. The East Asia Summit reviewed East Asia Summit cooperation and discussed the future direction as well as exchanged views on regional and international developments. At the ASEAN Regional Forum, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar stressed the necessity for international community to take a robust stance against terrorism in all its forms. More in this report.
The 14th East Asia Summit held in Vientiane, Laos PDR discussed its future direction as well as exchanged views on regional and international developments. Ukraine conflict in Gaza and peace in Asia-Pacific region dominated the agenda at the meet.
It is apparent that peace, security and stability are fundamental prerequisites for national socio-economic development in all countries in the world. The Asia-Pacific region is one of the most dynamic regions of the world in terms of economic growth. Thus, to sustain peace and prosperity in the region requires active participation and constructive cooperation of all area participants.
From India, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar outlined India's stance on Ukraine conflict in Gaza and other issues. Jaishankar stressed on peace, stability, prosperity and development in the Indo-Pacific region. Dr. Jaishankar stressed that the sea lines of communication passing through the South China Sea are critical for peace, stability, prosperity and development of the Indo-Pacific region. He said that the code of conduct should be substantive and effective, consistent with the international law and should not prejudice legitimate rights and interests of nations not party to discussions. On Myanmar, the minister said India's focus is on ensuring border security, countering transnational crime, mitigating violence and advancing connectivity projects, adding to our endeavors are mutually supportive in order to restore democracy. Leaders attending the meet in Laos PDR also held bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the ASEAN Summit. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken held bilateral talks with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Secretary Blinken raised concerns about Beijing's recent provocative actions in the region. Earlier, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken also spoke at Foreign Ministers' meet of ASEAN. Besides sharing his views on Russia-Ukraine conflict, nuclear threat from North Korea, Blinken also accused Beijing of escalatory and unlawful actions against the Philippines.
Whether it's Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, the DPRK's nuclear weapons and ballistic missile programs, the ongoing and heartbreaking crisis in Burma, or the PRC's escalatory and unlawful actions taken against the Philippines in the South China Sea over the last few months.
After the summit, top-level diplomats attended the 31st ASEAN Regional Forum to discuss security in the Indo-Pacific region. The ASEAN Regional Forum comprises of 27 member countries and was established in the year 1994. Dheeraj Das report for DD India.
And a joint communique issued 2 days after the closed-door retreat in Laos, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations welcomed unspecified practical measures to reduce tensions in the South China Sea and prevent accidents and miscalculations. The foreign ministers of the Southeast Asian regional bloc on Saturday condemned violence against civilians in military-ruled Myanmar and urged all parties to end hostilities and follow an agreed peace plan. It described North Korea's missile tests as worrisome developments and urged peaceful resolutions to the conflicts in Ukraine as well as Gaza, expressing concern. And India has deepened its strategic partnership with the ASEAN as External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar held a series of high-level meetings on the sidelines of the ASEAN Foreign Ministers' meetings in Laos. New Delhi's focus on strengthening bilateral ties and addressing regional challenge was evident during these engagements. Take a look at this report.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has reaffirmed India's steadfast commitment to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, emphasizing its centrality to the country's Act East policy. On the sidelines of the ASEAN Foreign Ministers' meetings, he also held a series of high-level engagements to strengthen bilateral ties and address pressing regional issues. India and Laos pledged to deepen cooperation in development, defense and digital technology, reflecting the growing strategic partnership between the two nations. Dr. S. Jaishankar also commended Indonesia's leadership during the ASEAN chairmanship and expressed its appreciation for the contribution to India-ASEAN relations. As India seeks to enhance its partnership in the region, the meeting with South Korea focused on strengthening the special strategic partnership. With the European Union, discussions centered on deepening cooperation in trade, clean energy and emerging technologies. India and Singapore aimed to chart a new course for their bilateral relationship, while with Malaysia, the focus was on implementing initiatives to bolster bilateral ties. The ASEAN Post-Ministerial Conference provided a platform for India to articulate its vision for a peaceful and prosperous Indo-Pacific. New Delhi reiterated its support for Laos's ASEAN chairmanship and emphasized the importance of addressing shared regional challenges. Beyond economic matters, India also underscored its commitment to regional peace and stability. The Myanmar crisis and the complex dynamics in the South China Sea were key topics of discussion. India's position as a credible and balanced power in the region was reiterated, with a focus on diplomacy and dialogue as the path forward. As the region navigates complex geopolitical landscape, India's engagement with ASEAN has taken on increased significance. The meetings in Laos have reinforced India's role as a key player in the Indo-Pacific, committed to a rules-based order and inclusive growth. Its growing engagement was also underpinned by shared interests in economic growth, security and connectivity. By strengthening its ties with ASEAN member states, India aims to play a more influential role in shaping the region's future. Bureau Report, DD India.
And to talk more about that, I have with me Ashok Sajanhar, former senior diplomat, joining me on the show. Ambassador Sajanhar, welcome to the show. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. As the ASEAN and the East Asia Summit comes to the East Asia Summit and the Foreign Ministers of ASEAN meeting comes to a close, what would you say was achieved there?
Thank you very much, Amrit. Let me also reciprocate the sentiment. It's always a pleasure to be on the show with you. So I think it was a very important meeting for India, definitely, because as we are aware in this increasingly fractious world and divisive world, uncertainties abound. The role of India, the influence of India, the stature of India globally has been growing. We've seen that in terms of the policy of strategic autonomy that India has been following, policy of multi-alignment that has been following, policy of promoting peace and security all around the world is being promoted, that has been following. So I think all these aspects were on full display when External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar participated, whether it was in terms of his bilateral interactions. We are all aware that whenever such meetings take place, Amritpal, it is in addition to the statements that take place that are delivered by the heads of all delegations in the plenary sessions, it is basically the bilaterals which take place on the sidelines of the meetings that are very important. So External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, he met a whole host of members. There were 18 who were participating in the East Asia Summit Foreign Ministers meeting. He met advanced India and bilateral cooperation with these countries. And of course, as far as ASEAN itself is concerned, Dr. Jaishankar underlined and emphasized the centrality of ASEAN as far as India's policy are concerned. He said this is a firm pillar of the Act East policy of India, which was launched exactly 10 years ago by Prime Minister Modi. So whether it is the Indo-Pacific, whether it is ASEAN, India is committed to the centrality of ASEAN and to ensure greater connectivity, greater sustainable development. And
security cooperation as well.
As far as security cooperation,
yes.
Indeed.
Ambassador, I want to discuss, India-ASEAN relations at length and its impact for the region. But first, let's talk about the Southeast Asia, ASEAN, East Asia. When these meetings happen, the question generally is asked that the fault lines continue to exist. When, say, the American Secretary of State met with the Chinese Foreign Minister, or even Indian External Minister met with his Chinese counterpart, sentiments were conveyed. For example, Blinken told Wang Yi very straight that your actions, we see them as unlawful actions in the South China Sea. The joint communique also expresses that. Dr. Jaishankar told Wang Yi that the situation on the border will reflect in the relations between the two countries, though we want to cooperate with you, but it cannot be business as usual unless you do that. But China is not going to change its stance. So you may keep harping on what is happening in the South China Sea or with the Chinese relations with their neighbors, but the fact remains there are countries who depend on China's aid, and things will be back to usual once Vientiane closes.
Thank you very much for that question, Amrit. Because you see, earlier what used to happen is, till about 10-15 years ago, the United States was the principal player as far as the ASEAN region is concerned.
Okay.
It was both a security provider to the region as also the most important trading partner as far as all these countries are concerned. The situation has changed somewhat today, because while the United States continues to be a security provider, it has ally partnerships with the Philippines, it has with Taiwan, it has a commitment on its security, it has partnership agreement with Japan, with South Korea. So its security partnership is very much there. But all these countries, now the major trading partner for them is China. So they don't want to take sides. But then I think it is important, because if countries like India don't mention to Wang Yi, Jaishankar doesn't mention to Wang Yi that what is it that we expect as far as resolution of the border, or at least disengagement, the prevalence of status quo ante is concerned, then of course it would be presumed by China that whatever is happening is par for the course and we can continue with it. So I think countries have to keep on pushing, and as far as Blinken's statement to Wang Yi is concerned, also very important, because it is not only Blinken's statement. There are a number of countries, both in Southeast Asia, whether it is Philippines, it is Vietnam, it is Malaysia, it is Brunei, and to an extent for the Natuna Islands, Indonesia. So all these countries are affected by what China calls the 9-9. So I think Blinken was not only speaking for himself, he was speaking for many other countries, and he was speaking also for the Quad, because our position on the Indo-Pacific is also very, very clear that, there has to be no threat, no resort to threat or use of force.
Or any kind of unilateralism there in that arena.
Absolutely. No unilateral action to be taken, no resorting to threat or use of force. All issues, outstanding issues to be discussed and resolved through dialogue and peace, except that this code of confidence between all these countries, China and ASEAN, that has been going on. Discussions have been going on since 2002, and there is not much result that we can see on the ground. And the other problem with that is that South China Sea is global commons. It is not only to serve the interests of either the ASEAN littoral states and China, but all other countries whose commerce flows through it, and also all the resources, whether it is fisheries or it is minerals or it is energy, it is global commons, and these are high seas. So I think they will be governed by whatever the provisions of the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of Sea is concerned. And you would see that over this passage of time, Amrit, these countries have been pushing back at China, because China has become more aggressive, China has become more belligerent, and we have seen reference to that, China is taking very provocative actions and violent actions against Philippines boats, fishing boats.
True.
And so I think these are very useful interactions, and the messages conveyed are very important.
Ambassador Sajanhar, my producer tells me I'm completely out of time.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yet I can't let go of you without asking this. Dr. Jaishankar says, take robust action against terror in all its forms and manifestations. Stated position of India, but why bring it up at ASEAN? What does India expect ASEAN to do, or is it another global fora where India raises its concern consistently?
No, absolutely. I think India has been raising over the last 10 years or so, every international fora we have to raise the issue of terror, because again, it is not only India that is suffering from terror. Whether in our own region, whether it is in ASEAN region, there are all these countries which at some point or the other are afflicted by terror. So the world has to come together. It is not a single country that can take action on it, but it has to be collaborative action. It has to be cooperative action. And India has such counter-terror discussions and programs with many of the ASEAN countries. So I think it was very important. We raise it, whether it is SCO, whether it is BRICS, whether it is this one, this is, Amrit, this is ASEAN Regional Forum, which is supposed to take action to promote security, peace and tranquility in the region. So terror is a very important element in ensuring peace in the region.
Okay. Ambassador Ashok Sajanhar, I'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your valuable insights, sharing your valuable insights.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
And protesters in the outskirts of Islamabad in Pakistan entered day 2 against inflation and taxes on energy bills. Hundreds of supporters of Pakistan's major Islamist party, Jamaat-e-Islami, staged a sit-in protest wherein they are demanding the withdrawal of heavy taxes on power and a reduction in the skyrocketing inflation. They say that inflated power bills and new taxation laws in the 2024-25 annual budget has made lives of millions of people miserable in Pakistan. In Sudan, at least 22 people were killed when the country's paramilitary rapid support forces attacked the city of Al-Fashir, the worst toll after weeks of stalemate on that front in the country's civil war. The Al-Fashir Resistance Committee said that the RSF had fired artillery shells on markets, hospitals and residential apartments and had used a drone to target a particular hospital. The city is the National Army's last remaining position in the Darfur region and a key front in the war with the RSF that has turned Sudan into the world's worst humanitarian crisis. The activist group said it had counted 22 bodies and the casualty toll was expected to rise. There was no immediate comment from the RSF, which has in the past denied shelling civilian targets. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Saturday expressed concerns regarding the US-South Korea's recently announced nuclear guidelines. The guideline is aimed at responding to nuclear threat from North Korea.
Еще один вызывающий беспокойство элемент совсем недавно Соединенные Штаты.
Another worrying element is that the United States recently concluded an agreement with the Republic of Korea on joint nuclear planning. So far, we have not been able to get an explanation of what this means, but we have no doubt that this causes additional concern. Moreover, they are trying to pull Japan into the scheme of joint nuclear planning. In addition, various 3s and 4s are being created. For example, the United States, Japan and South Korea are actively whipping up the atmosphere around the Korean peninsula, militarizing their presence there and are conducting exercises that are openly aimed at being prepared for forceful actions.
A surge of coups in West Africa in recent years has fractured regional unity. West Africa's regional bloc, ECOWAS, is facing potential disintegration following decisions of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger to leave the 15-member group, citing harsh sanctions imposed by ECOWAS as their reason for departure. DD India's correspondent Ajak Maghut reports.
ECOWAS, the economic community of West African states, has been facing significant challenges leading to its recent weakening. Analysts say ECOWAS troubles are rooted in questionable elections and bad governance in member countries, compounded by its harsh response to the recent coups in the region.
They failed to do peer review where they can sanction or urge member countries to improve their electoral process, democratic governance. The second one is the approach to engage those countries that stage coup or the military juntas.
The bloc had previously used military intervention effectively in the Gambia when Yahya Jammeh attempted to cling to power after losing the 2016 elections. The threat of using force before diplomacy this time had backfired, leading ECOWAS to change its strategy. At its 65th summit held in Abuja in early July, it appointed Senegal's President Bassirou Faye to mediate with Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger to convince them to remain in the bloc.
The President of Senegal has indicated his acceptance to serve as facilitator for ECOWAS in our engagement with the 3 IOS countries. And this is in the spirit of engagement that our leaders believe should continue.
But as ECOWAS tries to tackle current challenges, analysts are advocating for a review of its operations, particularly the non-interference protocol.
Strengthen the institutions, democratic institutions across West African sub-region. The different pillars of ECOWAS must be made functional. And then this principle of non-interference, we need to have another look at it. If something is falling out of international good practices, we need to call our brother presidents and head of states to order early enough before, the situation will degenerate into crisis and then we'll have coup on our hands.
At its last meeting, ECOWAS called on member countries to pay their fees, promising the better running of the organization. Also, Senegal's president says he's optimistic that his engagements with Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger as ECOWAS special envoy will result in bringing them back to ECOWAS within the next 6 months and strengthening the organization to better tackle its challenges. But analysts fear that this might be a tall order and unlikely for the nearly 50-year-old group to return to what it once was. Ajak Mangut in Abuja, reporting for DD India.
Former U.S. President and Republican presidential candidate in the United States, Donald Trump, addressed an audience at the Turning Point Action's Believers Summit 2024 in Florida and removed his bandage. Trump accused U.S. Vice President and likely Democratic candidate Kamala Harris of betraying Israel by not attending this week's Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to the U.S. Congress. Trump concluded by pledging to deport criminals and drug dealers and claimed the Caracas had been turned into a crime-free city in Venezuela due to mass migration to the United States. Trump warned Christian voters on Democrats' plan for the Supreme Court.
Thank you very much, everybody. And I stand before you tonight thanks to the power of prayer and the grace of Almighty God. As I think you can see, I've recovered well and, in fact, just took off the last bandage off of my ear. I just got it off. Harris will appoint hundreds of extreme far-left judges to forcibly impose crazy San Francisco liberal values on Americans nationwide. She'll appoint hardcore Marxists to the Supreme Court to shred our Constitution and all of our religious liberty. She will do that absolutely. She will try as hard as she can to add as many justices as possible to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired the 9th Governing Council meeting of Niti Aayog in New Delhi. The agenda on the meeting was Viksit Bharat, or Developed India, by 2047. The meeting saw the participation of 20 states and 6 union territories.
Retain the focus on Viksit Bharat at 2047. If it was the purpose of the Honorable Prime Minister when he spoke from the ramparts of the Red Fort on August 15th, 2022, to launch a national debate on how India should use its Amrit Kal of the next 25 years, I would say that first, he has succeeded. Second, that this is much more about a national mobilization.
Prime Minister observed that India has achieved steady growth in the past 10 years. The Indian economy, which was ranked 10th largest economy in the world in 2014, has risen to become the 5th largest economy in 2024. He added that now the collective aim of the government and all citizens is to become the 3rd largest economy in the world.
The agenda was titled Viksit Bharat, and it had 2 major items on the agenda. One was an approach paper for preparing a vision document for Viksit Bharat, and the second is the outcomes of the Chief Secretary's conference, which was held in end December, where the theme was ease of living, and certain conclusions were arrived at on 5 sub-themes under ease of living in drinking water, electricity, education, health and land.
Prime Minister Modi, who is the chairperson of the Niti Aayog, urged all stakeholders, including chief ministers of states, to grab the opportunities presented by the world to India.
The Prime Minister, in his own opening remark, emphasized on the need for this. He talked about his own travels around the world, he talked about his experience of G20, and he talked about the goodwill that is there around the world for India and the need for India, in his own words, to grab the opportunity. And he said, but a Vikasit Bharat, which is a developed India by 2047, cannot be achieved just by wishful thinking. You must have tangible goals which have to be pursued. And he said that the chief ministers have a major role in this, and that's why it was being discussed here. It is because a lot of the action for Vikasit Bharat is the collective action of states. So his basic request to all the states is, please develop vision plans for yourself.
Still to come on DD India News Hour, UNESCO inscribes Japan's Sado Mines as World Heritage Site in the World Heritage Convention being held in New Delhi.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Amritpal Singh. The Charadeo Moidams, a unique 700-year-old mound burial system of the Ahom dynasty from Assam, was officially inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List on Friday, becoming the 43rd property from India to be included in the prestigious index. The announcement was made at the 46th session of the World Heritage Committee being held in New Delhi.
India, a country with rich history and cultural diversity, is home to numerous ancient sites and heritage monuments. In a significant cultural achievement, Moidams, the mound burial system of the Ahom dynasty from India's northeastern state of Assam, was officially inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List.
Actually, it was the first capital of the Ahom kingdom. Swargodev Saolung Sukawpha was there, and his was cremated there, his Moidam was there. After that, whenever the Ahom capital was established, each of the Ahom king must go there, and they went there and established as the king of the Ahom kingdom. That's why Swargodev is being considered as the very holy place to the people of Assam.
Over the past decade, India has added an impressive 13 sites to UNESCO's World Heritage List. These World Heritage Sites include Hill Forts of Rajasthan. This World Heritage Site includes 6 majestic forts of Rajasthan. The fort's architecture reflects the power of Rajput princely states from the 8th to the 18th centuries. Rani Ki Vav at Patan, Gujarat, built on the banks of Saraswati River, this World Heritage Site was originally a memorial to 11th century King Bhimdev I. Designed as an inverted temple to emphasize the sanctity of water, it features 7 levels of stairs and high-quality sculptural panels. Great Himalayan National Park Conservation Area. This national park in Himachal Pradesh is characterized by high alpine peaks, alpine meadows and riverine forests. Archaeological site of Nalanda Mahavihara at Nalanda, Bihar. Nalanda includes archaeological remains of a monastic and scholastic institution from 3rd century BC to the 13th century CE. Nalanda, the ancient university of the Indian subcontinent, features stupas, shrines, viharas and notable artworks in stucco stone and metal. Kangchenjunga National Park. Located in Sikkim, this national park includes a unique diversity of plains, valleys, lakes and glaciers. The national park is also home to the world's 3rd highest peak. The architectural work of Le Corbusier, an outstanding contribution to the modern movement. Complex Thew Capital in Chandigarh, designed by Le Corbusier, exemplifies 20th century modern movement solutions to new architectural challenges. Historic city of Ahmedabad. The walled city of Ahmedabad, founded by Sultan Ahmed Shah in the 15th century, presents a rich architectural heritage. Victorian Gothic and Art Deco ensemble of Mumbai. In second half of 19th century, Mumbai implemented an ambitious urban planning project. This led to construction of public buildings around Oval Maidan, initially in Victorian Neo-Gothic style and later in early 20th century Art Deco. Jaipur city, Rajasthan. The walled city of Jaipur in Rajasthan was founded in 1727 by Savai Jai Singh II. Kaktiya Rudreshwar Temple, Telangana. Located in Hyderabad, Rudreshwar Temple is the main Shiva temple in a walled complex built during the Kaktiyan period. Dholavira, a Harappan city. The ancient city of Dholavira, a key Harappan civilization site from 3000 to 1500 BCE, features a well-preserved fortified city and cemetery. Shantiniketan. Founded in 1901 by poet Rabindranath Tagore, Shantiniketan was the residential school and arts centre rooted in ancient Indian traditions and the sacred ensembles of the Hoysalas. The serial property included 3 key Hoysala-style temple complexes in southern India dating from 12th to 13th centuries. Bureau Report, DD India.
And besides India, the UNESCO World Heritage Committee also inscribed newer sites on the World Heritage list from other countries as well and extended one existing World Heritage site.
Apart from India's Moidams, several other sites were added to UNESCO's World Heritage list during the 46th session of the World Heritage Committee in New Delhi. Notably, Russia's cultural landscape of Kenozero Lake was also included. Located in the northwest region of Russia, this site highlights the evolving local cultural landscape from the 12th century, reflecting the gradual Slavic colonization of the area. UNESCO also listed Japan's Sado Mines as the World Heritage Site in the World Heritage Convention.
I would like to express our sincere gratitude and thanks to the all member states of the World Heritage Committee, which by consensus adopted to inscribe the Sado gold mines this time. Really appreciate that.
Saturday also saw the official inscription of Kenya's historic town and archaeological site of JD on the UNESCO World Heritage list. While Thailand's Phu Parvat has also been newly added to the UNESCO World Heritage list, recognized for its significance in the Sima stone tradition. The arrival of Buddhism in the 7th century spurred a notable increase in the installation of Sima stones across the region. Another new addition to the UNESCO World Heritage list is the Beijing Central Axis, a building ensemble demonstrating the ideal order of the Chinese capital. The Central Axis features a remarkable collection of former imperial palaces and gardens, sacrificial structures, and ceremonial and public buildings. UNESCO's World Heritage Committee, currently holding its 46th session in New Delhi in India, will continue its meeting till July 31st. Bureau Report, DD India.
And to put all the developments in context, I'm joined by Suresh Kumar Goyal. He's former senior diplomat and he's former Director General of the Indian Council for Cultural Relations. Thank you, Ambassador Goyal, for joining me on the show. When the Prime Minister inaugurated this meeting of the World Heritage Committee in New Delhi, that's the first meeting, I think, that India is hosting of this committee. He said heritage is not just history, but shared consciousness of humanity. What did he mean? What was the message that he was trying to send across?
Very interesting question, really, because in fact, when you talk about the shared consciousness, it has many meanings, really. It has a whole lot of implications. But the fact is that when we talk about the heritage, where does the heritage come from? The heritage itself actually is when you begin to share what you have with the other world, when you become part, and when we have the kind of a concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, where we are talking about the shared, in fact, it's when with the idea of the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole world is a family, is not a shared heritage. It is the idea of basically shared spirituality, shared humanity, shared history of the human, and therefore there is a kind of a thing there where we talk about evolution of the human history, as a result of coming together, as a result of, how do you describe it really? It's very, very difficult. But the fact is that the human beings are not indivisible. Indivisible. They
have a collective conscience, and that's what
you're connected together. Yes.
And that's what you're insisting on. Say, for example, when Ukraine says that Russian bombings are destroying their heritage, it's actually, if you look at it, the Russian heritage that is being destroyed. So there is a collective history that we go, which might lead us to, because history doesn't tell us just about the past. It teaches us lessons for the present and the future.
Absolutely. And it's not just Ukraine. I still remember when Taliban destroyed the Babian Buddhas in Afghanistan. The destruction still rankles in the mind, frankly. And I was in the ICCR at that time when it happened. And I really remember that the heritage of the human history has been destroyed in a manner which cannot be recovered now. And it goes beyond politics, it goes beyond anything really, conflicts, contests, wherever you want to be. And Ukraine, again, is Russia, is the whole of Central Europe, is basically the European people. There are so many things which actually come into this thing.
Okay.
And therefore, I think we need to be conscious of that fact, yes.
Okay. The Prime Minister also said that India is committed to promoting global cooperation, that he was saying that we should cooperate with each other. But more importantly, what I find interesting is engaging local communities towards heritage conservation efforts. Do you think there is enough consciousness created, of late in the Indian populace to preserve their heritage?
See, heritage is something which you can preserve only if people around that heritage have an interest in relevance of that heritage. It's a bit complicated, but very simple, really. Today, if my parents leave something for me, if it is relevant to me, I will keep it. If it is not relevant to me, I will not keep it. And the whole history behind that, what they left for me, is gone. And therefore, the heritage has to have relevance to people living around there. Hampi, for example. If Hampi has no relevance to people who are living beyond there, it doesn't mean anything at all. So we need to develop the whole thing around there so that people can actually treasure that heritage as a part of the legacy and as a part of the livelihood.
Okay.
It's both important, really. Yeah.
No, my question, Ambassador, is the awareness changing? I'll give you a personal example. I come from a city called Chandigarh, where there is a museum, Le Corbusier Museum. And apparently when Chandigarh was being made, they dug up the site and they found some Harappan remains there. And the museum has a text written there that they did find, but then they covered up the site and they created Sector 17 on it.
Right.
My parents went, one day I took my daughter who goes to school along with my parents. So my parents' view on that was, well, they had to make a city then and they had to build a modern city, so it's okay. Harappan artifacts are found everywhere around, so they covered it, it's fine. I was like, yes, but they should have been restored. My daughter, for example, was shocked that how could they do such? She used the word criminal act. Now, is the awareness and consciousness about preserving our heritage as we find the economic means, as a country, as a society, we find our feet increasing?
It's a good question. And exactly going by what the example that you gave me. In Chandigarh, how many people now talk about the Harappan relics or Harappan heritage there in that area? None. I've traveled there so often, and you talk about Sector 17. Sector 17 is now known as basically sector where most of the commercial activities take place. It's prominent, people go there, marketing, shopping, etc., etc. But nobody talks about the Harappan heritage. And therefore, my point, that every heritage is relevant if it creates an awareness about history, belonging, and more importantly, as a part of their life. I come from Old Delhi area.
Okay.
And from the Old Delhi area through a Chandani Chowk, if you go over there, I mean, they've tried to create many things at all and a business and everything. Unless it becomes part of their lives. And unless they begin to treasure it, which can sustain their lifestyle, it will have no value. It will go away. And therefore, the walled city, unless we actually, like Rome, we make it a part of the way they live, it will have no value. And therefore,
I completely agree with you. In fact, you know, unless we make it relevant to our times, unless we realize that this will create more jobs, increase tourism and have spin-off benefits, it wouldn't really, the message wouldn't really trickle down. Ambassador Suresh Kumar Goyal, that's all the time I have for on the show. Many thanks for joining us. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday held deliberations with Chief Ministers and Deputy Chief Ministers of BJP-ruled states over a host of issues. The meeting of Chief Ministers' Council, organized by the BJP at regular intervals, is aimed at reviewing key schemes in the states following the best governance practices and delivery of central government welfare initiatives. Besides Prime Minister Modi, Union Ministers Amit Shah and JP Nadda, who is also the party president, attended the first day of the two-day meeting. And still to come on DD India News Hour, India opened the doors to the first ever Olympic India House at the Paris Olympics.
We simply throw things away when we're done using them, be it a cup, an old shirt, or a used battery. But we can do a lot better. Let's find out how.
I thought I can get a bunch of people together and we can just create this beautiful product while not being wasteful, while paying people correctly, while not throwing things into the garbage can.
Our goal is to recover 95% of our nickel, which is the most expensive, most valuable ore, including aluminum and copper, of course.
We are successfully managing waste in this small town with a limited number of people, resources and market. If we can do that here, it would definitely be possible in larger towns that have many advantages over us.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Amrit Pal Singh. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. 3 Russian warships arrived in Havana on Saturday for a routine visit to the Cuban capital. A training ship called Smolny fired a gun salute as it arrived, with crew turning out on the deck. This is the second visit by a Russian naval vessel to Cuba since June this year. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky and his wife visited the Okhmadat Children's Hospital in Kyiv on Saturday. A lethal strike by the country's biggest children's hospital in broad daylight had killed at least 2 people and injured dozens on July 8. Taiwan's Coast Guard on Saturday evacuated crew members from 2 stranded freighters to safety after a powerful typhoon Gaimi sank a cargo ship and grounded 8 others off Taiwan's southern coast. Search for the Tanzania-flagged cargo ship continues. France's transport minister on Saturday said that traffic on the high-speed rail network should be back to normal service by Monday. Traffic has been partly restored following Friday's rail sabotage, which caused travel chaos at the opening day of the Olympic Games. The French rail operator is on track to fix the sabotage damages. Investigation is still underway. And now all the updates from the ongoing Paris Olympics. Ace Indian shooter Manu Bhaker on Saturday secured a place in the final of the women's 10-meter air pistol event after finishing 3rd with an impressive total score of 580 in the qualifying event on Saturday. Bhaker shot 27 inner tens after starting strong and remained consistent from the beginning in the 45 athlete field. Manu becomes the first Indian woman to qualify for an Olympic final in the pistol event. She is also only the third India female shooter ever to qualify for a final at the Olympics. Other two to do it were Anjali Bhagwat and Suma Shiru. In the 10-meter air pistol, Indian shooter Sarabjot Singh fell agonizingly short of a place in the final round. He finished 9th in the qualification round with an aggregate score of 577 after 6 series of shooting. While he finished on the level term with Germany's Walter Robbins, but Sarabjot missed out on the count of inner tens. The German had shot 17 inner tens while Sarabjot managed 16. Arjun Chima, the other Indian at the event, finished 18th with an aggregate of 574 points. And Indian pistol shooter Arjun Singh Chima failed to make to the final of the men's 10-meter air pistol at the Paris Olympics. He is now looking ahead for the mixed event.
Indian shooters have started their campaign in Paris Games. Right now, I am joined by Arjun Singh Chima. Arjun, a great effort, but what went wrong?
Sir, I had good control over myself, over my technique, had good preparation, but somehow it was not up to the mark. But we have things to come up to look forward to, and we have areas to work on, and we'll work on that.
So, areas to work on. So, what are the forward plans right now?
We have a mixed team match coming up day after tomorrow, and tomorrow is a PET, and I'll be looking forward for that.
So, what was the learning curve from today's match? Especially, we know that how talented our shooting contingent is. So, do you think that few key points we learned from today's match?
First of all, it was my first Olympics, and it itself was a good and big learning for me though. And I believe what I catched from this match, I'll be applying it on the upcoming mixed event match.
So definitely Arjun has said that whatever he learned from this match definitely will take that learning aspect to their next match, and hoping that there our super talented shooters will win a medal for the country. With camera person Senthil, Narayan Singh for DDI India, Paris.
And India opened the doors to the first ever Olympic India House at the Paris Olympics with an eye on hosting its own games in the near future. India House was inaugurated on Saturday in a colorful event filled with music, dance, food and art from the South Asian country. Niti Ambani, the chairperson and founder of Reliance Foundation, which worked with the Indian Olympic Association to make India House a reality, made no secret that she hopes the Olympics will one day be hosted in an Indian city. Ambani is a member of the International Olympic Committee. She said that India House should serve the collective Indian dream to host the Olympics. India has officially bid to host the 2036 Games with Ahmedabad as the likely proposition to be the host city. The International Olympic Committee has formally apologized for a faux pas to South Korea on Saturday after its delegation of athletes were introduced as being from a rival North Korea at the Paris Olympics opening ceremony. South Korea expressed regret after the incident and has demanded assurances from the organizers that the mistake will not happen again. As the boat carrying the South Korean athletes passed on the Seine River, the announcer introduced them as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. That's the official name for the North in French and in English. The blue sign on the boat carrying the country's athletes did show the correct name. The announcer used the same name introduction when the North Korean delegation passed. The Paris Olympic Village is redefining sustainability for the Games. This village, featuring 16,000 cardboard beds, is a significant stride towards eco-friendliness. The revamped menu with over 60% vegetarian options helps reduce the event's carbon footprint. Narayan Singh brings this exclusive report from Paris.
The Paris Olympic Village is setting a new benchmark for sustainability in the history of the Games. Designed with the environment in mind, it features 16,000 cardboard beds, a step toward making the event more eco-friendly. The food menu has also undergone a major overhaul, with over 60% of meal options being vegetarian to lower the carbon footprint. Around 40,000 meals are served daily. Athletes can train within 20 minutes and compete for medals within 30 minutes from their accommodation.
Basically, like as compared to Asian Games, the organizing committee, they basically make all the arrangement eco-friendly. Like if you see the bed and all, they make with the cardboards, so there is no wooden thing as used. Plus the cooling facility, basically they use the groundwater system. The internal pipelines are going inside the walls, and they have provided, I am thankful to our IOC committee, they have provided a pedestrian friend to each and every room, and the weather is so pleasant as compared to our India. Plus the food quality is good. Earlier they were facing problem, but now everything is managed so well, and we are getting too much for good facilities from IOC India.
इको फ्रेंडली भी है और सब एक साथ भी रह रहे हैं, तो काफी अच्छा है सर.
The village boasts an advanced cooling system to ensure a comfortable environment. The system uses a district cooling network with chilled water to regulate the air temperature. Rooftop solar panels increase the use of renewable energy.
All apartments have an underfloor cooling system that can reduce the temperature of an external temperature from 6 to 10 degrees. And all depending also where your apartment is situated in the building, of course. But we know that there are some athletes that needs less than this. And we also know that during the Paralympics, we have some athletes that have some thermoregulation problems that really need some very cool temperature inside.
This environment-friendly approach significantly lowers energy usage and reduces the carbon footprint associated with the Games. Paris is setting a new standard for sustainable Olympic villages.
With its innovative design and eco-friendly initiatives, the Paris Olympic Village exemplifies a commitment to the sustainability. From cardboard beds to vegetarian meals and advanced cooling system, every aspect aims to reduce environmental impact. By setting this new standard, Paris is not only hosting a mega event but also paves the way for the future event to prioritize the planet. With camera person Senthil, Narayan Singh, DD India, Paris.
Well, that's all in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh from all my team here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.